You know that feeling when you're lying in bed at night, staring at the ceiling, and your brain just won't stop? You're not thinking about your goals. You're not thinking about your future. You're thinking about what that person said, what they did, what they think of you, whether you're good enough in their eyes. And here's the thing. That person, they're probably sleeping just fine right now. That hit different, didn't it? Let me ask you something honest, and I want you to really think about this. How much of your day is actually yours? Like, truly yours? Not shaped by what someone else expects, not filtered through what people will think, not spent trying to prove something to somebody who doesn't even care. As because for most of us, and I'm including myself in this, a huge chunk of our mental energy every single day goes to people who are not us. People who are living their lives worried about their own stuff, probably not even thinking about us at all. We cancel plans because we're scared of judgment. We don't post that thing we created because what if people laugh? We stay in jobs we hate because we don't want to disappoint our parents. We shrink ourselves in rooms just to make other people comfortable. And slowly, quietly, without even realizing it, we disappear. Not dramatically, not all at once, just a little bit every day, a little compromise here, a little silence there, until one day you look in the mirror and you're not even sure who's looking back. If any part of that felt familiar, this is for you. I'm not going to tell you some magic trick that fixes everything overnight. That's not real, and you deserve better than fake promises. But I am going to tell you something that the Stoics figured out thousands of years ago. Something that changed how I think about myself, other people, and where I put my energy. It's simple, but it's not easy. And if you actually practice it, really practice it, it will change something in you. The idea is this: the only life you actually control is yours. And the moment you stop pouring yourself into everyone else's opinions, everyone else's expectations, everyone else's story about who you should be, that's the moment your real life begins. Let's talk about how to actually get there. There's this moment I think a lot of people have had. You work really hard on something. Could be a project, a presentation, a business idea, something creative. You put real time and heart into it, and then someone, a friend, a coworker, a family member, says one slightly negative thing about it. And just like that, all the pride you felt, gone. Replaced with doubt. Replaced with that awful voice in your head that says, "See, I knew it wasn't good enough." One comment. That's all it takes sometimes. One person's offhand opinion rewrites our entire story about ourselves. That's how much power we've given to other people's thoughts. And we didn't even notice we were doing it. The Stoics had a word for this. They called it living according to externals, building your sense of self on things outside your control. And Marcus Aurelius, who was literally one of the most powerful men in the world, Emperor of Rome, wrote in his private journal that the greatest waste of a human life is spending it worrying about what other people think. This wasn't abstract philosophy for him. This was a man who had enemies, who was criticized, second-guessed, betrayed, and he kept coming back to this one idea: I cannot control what they say, I can only control what I do. That's it. That's the whole thing. But let me show you what it actually looks like in real life. Think about someone you know, maybe it's even you, who grew up being told they were too sensitive, or too quiet, or too much. And they spent the next 20 years trying to be less sensitive, less quiet, less themselves, shrinking, adjusting, performing a version of themselves that they thought would finally be accepted. And the tragedy isn't just the years lost. The tragedy is that no matter how much they changed, there was always someone new with a new criticism. Always another standard to meet. Because that's the nature of trying to live for other people. It never ends. There's no finish line where everyone finally approves of you. Marcus Aurelius wrote something that I think about a lot. He said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Read that again. We love ourselves more than other people, but we care more about what they think than what we actually think. That's backwards, and most of us do it every single day without even questioning it. Here's something that shifted things for me, and maybe it'll land for you too. Imagine you're at a dinner party. There are 10 people there, and you say something, tell a joke, share an opinion, and 7 people laugh, nod, enjoy it. But 3 people look unimpressed. Maybe one of them even rolls their eyes. What do you focus on when you drive home? The 3, right? Almost always the 3. The 7 people who connected with you, who appreciated you, who smiled, they barely register. But those 3, you replay that in your head. You wonder what you did wrong. You question whether you should have said it at all. This is what psychologists call the negativity bias. Our brains are literally wired to hold on to criticism and rejection 10 times harder than they hold on to praise and connection. It's a survival thing. Way back when, being rejected from the group meant death. So our brains treat social rejection like a physical threat. But here's the thing. We don't live in caves anymore, and treating one person's eye roll like a survival emergency is keeping us small. The Stoic practice for this is something called negative visualization, but flipped. Instead of catastrophizing what people think, you ask, even if that's true, what then? Even if they don't like me, even if they judge me, what actually happens? What's the real consequence most of the time? Nothing. Life goes on. You survive, and they forget about it by Tuesday. Let me tell you about a guy, I'll call him Daniel. Daniel had a job he was good at, but he wanted to start his own thing on the side, a small creative business. He'd been thinking about it for 2 years. He had the skills, he had the ideas, he had a little saved up. But he didn't start. Why? Because his older brother had made a comment once, just once, at a family dinner. Something like, "That's a tough industry, most people fail." Meant it honestly, not even cruelly. Just an offhand thing. And Daniel carried that comment for 2 years like it was a verdict, like his brother had some kind of authority over his future. He stopped the dream before it started because of one sentence from one person at one dinner. He finally told me this story, and I asked him, "What does your brother actually know about that industry?" He thought for a second, and then he laughed, because the answer was nothing. His brother was an accountant. He'd never tried it, never studied it. He was just guessing, the way we all do when we give opinions on things we don't really know. Daniel had given a guess from someone with no expertise, no stake in the outcome, no actual information, the power to stop his life. And that's what we do. We collect other people's guesses and we treat them like facts. The Stoics had this concept they called the dichotomy of control. It's probably the most important idea in Stoic philosophy, and Epictetus, who started life as an actual slave, built his whole teaching around it. The idea is simple. Some things are in your control and some things aren't. And the moment you stop treating things outside your control as problems to solve, that's the moment you find some peace. What's in your control? Your choices, your actions, your response, how you treat people, what you practice, what you build. What's not in your control? What people think of you, what they say about you, whether they like you, whether they approve, whether they understand you. And most of us, most of the time, are exhausting ourselves trying to control the second list. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. You squeeze harder and it just slips through faster. The tighter you grip other people's opinions, the more anxious and empty you feel. Let go. Not because you stop caring about people, but because you start caring about your actual life. There's a difference between caring about people and being controlled by people. Caring about people means you show up for them. You're kind, you're honest, you treat them with respect. Being controlled by people means you edit yourself before you speak. You scan every room for signs of disapproval. You make decisions based on what will make you look good to others rather than what's actually right for you. One of those is love. The other is fear. And they feel similar from the inside, which is why it's so easy to confuse them. A lot of people think they're being humble or considerate when they constantly put others' opinions first. But real humility isn't about making yourself small so others feel comfortable. Real humility is having an accurate picture of yourself, your strengths, your flaws, your potential, and working with that honestly without needing a crowd to validate it. Now here's where things get a little uncomfortable, because focusing on yourself doesn't mean being selfish. And I want to be really clear about that. There's this misunderstanding where people think stop caring what others think means become arrogant, become reckless. Stop listening to anyone. That's not it. What it actually means is this: stop outsourcing your self-worth. You can take feedback without being destroyed by it. You can hear criticism and evaluate it calmly. Is this useful? Is this person someone whose opinion I actually respect and trust? Is there something real here I can learn from? And if yes, great. Use it. Grow from it. But if it's just noise, if it's someone projecting their own fears onto you, if it's jealousy dressed up as concern, you don't have to carry that. You can hear it, set it down, and keep walking. That's the difference. The Stoic doesn't ignore the world. They engage with it, clearly, calmly, without being swept away by it. I want to talk about comparison for a second, because I think it's one of the silent killers of joy. We live in a world that makes comparison almost unavoidable. You open your phone and there it is. Someone your age who's further ahead. Someone with a better body, a nicer house, a more exciting life. Or at least that's what their highlight reel shows. And something just deflates inside you. Theodore Roosevelt said it, and it's still true. Comparison is the thief of joy. But here's the deeper thing the Stoics understood. Comparison doesn't just steal your joy, it steals your direction. Because the moment you start measuring your life against someone else's, you've stopped running your own race. You're running theirs. And you will never win a race you weren't meant to be in. Think about a tree. A pine tree doesn't look at an oak tree and feel bad for being too narrow. A river doesn't compare itself to a lake and feel ashamed for moving. Each thing becomes fully what it is in the way it is, and that's where its strength comes from. You have a specific combination of experiences, skills, personality, perspective that no one in history has ever had in exactly this way. That's not motivational poster fluff. That's just true. And the second you spend your energy trying to become someone else's version of successful, you abandon the only version that actually belongs to you. Let me tell you about another moment that really stuck with me. There's a woman, I'll call her Mira, who spent 15 years in a career she didn't choose. She was good at it. Her parents were proud. Her colleagues respected her. On paper, everything looked right. But inside, every Sunday night felt like dread. Every Monday morning was a performance. She was living a life that looked like hers but didn't feel like hers. One day, she quit. Not dramatically. She saved up, she planned, she made a real decision. And when she told people, the reactions were almost all fear. But what about security? That's risky. At your age? And for a while, she almost went back. The voices almost won, but she didn't. She built something small, then something less small, then something she was actually proud of. Not because she ignored everyone. She talked to people she trusted, people with actual experience and actual love for her. But she stopped letting the loudest, most fearful voices be the deciding vote on her life. Last time I heard, she's not rich, she's not famous, but she said something that I'll remember forever. She said, "I finally feel like I'm living in my own skin." That's it. That's what happens when you stop performing for other people and start actually living. Okay, I want to pause here for a second because I know some of you are listening to this and part of you is nodding along, but another part is saying, yeah, but it's not that simple. I have real obligations, real people in my life who depend on me, real consequences if I just stop caring what everyone thinks. And that's fair. That's real. But here's what I want to ask you, not to challenge you, genuinely. How many of those obligations are actually yours? And how many of them are things you took on because you were afraid of what would happen if you didn't? Because disappointing someone felt unbearable? Because the idea of someone being upset with you felt like a disaster? There's a huge difference between choosing your responsibilities and being controlled by your fear of rejection. And some of you, deep down, you know which one is driving more of your decisions than you're comfortable admitting. That's okay. Noticing it is the first step. You can't change what you can't see. The Stoics talked a lot about what they called the inner citadel. This idea that no matter what's happening around you, no matter who's judging you, criticizing you, misunderstanding you, there is a place inside you that no one can touch. That's yours. Completely and only yours. And the practice, the real daily practice, is returning to that place over and over. Someone says something that stings? Come back to yourself. You see something on your phone that makes you feel behind? Come back to yourself. You walk into a room and feel like you don't belong? Come back to yourself. Not in an arrogant way, not in a I don't care about anything way, but in a grounded, quiet, I know who I am way. Marcus Aurelius did this in the middle of wars, in the middle of political betrayal, in the middle of watching people he loved die. He came back to his journal, back to his principles, back to himself. If he could do it with an empire on his shoulders, we can do it too. Here's a practical thing. And I mean really practical, something you can use. Start paying attention to your energy. Not in a mystical way, just practically. Notice where your mental energy goes throughout the day. Are you replaying conversations that already happened? Are you rehearsing conversations that might never happen? Are you checking to see if someone liked your post? Are you thinking about what someone probably thinks of you? None of that is productive. None of that moves anything forward. It's just mental noise, taking up the space where your actual thoughts should live. The Stoic exercise is simple. Every morning, ask yourself one question. What is actually mine to do today? Not, what will people think if I do this? Not, how do I make sure everyone's happy? Just, what is mine to do? Answer that. Do that. Everything else is secondary. And at the end of the day, the question becomes, did I act with integrity today? Not, did everyone approve of me? Just, did I act in a way I'm proud of? Those two questions, morning and evening, they will slowly start to reshape where you put yourself. I want to talk about something that doesn't get discussed enough, and that's the cost of constantly seeking approval. It's not just the wasted energy, it's what it does to your relationships. When you're always seeking approval, you can't have real relationships, because real relationships require honesty, and honesty requires the willingness to disappoint someone. If you can't risk disappointing someone, you'll tell them what they want to hear. You'll agree when you don't. You'll go along with things that don't feel right, and both of you end up with a connection that's pleasant on the surface but hollow underneath. The people who are most genuinely loved, not most widely liked, but most genuinely loved, are the ones who are real, who say what they actually think, gently but honestly, who don't perform but just show up as themselves. That's what people are actually hungry for. Not a perfect performance, just something real. And you can only give that when you stop worrying about whether they'll approve. There's a moment in every person's life, or at least I think there should be, where you make a quiet decision, not a dramatic announcement, not a big speech, just a quiet internal shift. The decision that says, I'm done being a side character in my own story, because that's what happens when you live for other people's opinions. You become a supporting role in everyone else's narrative. You arrange yourself around their expectations, their comfort, their judgment. And your actual life, your real desires, your actual values, your genuine voice gets buried. The Stoics weren't against caring about other people. They were deeply relational. Stoicism is full of ideas about duty, community, serving others. But it all starts from a grounded center, from someone who knows who they are and why they do what they do. You cannot give anything real from an empty place. And constantly pouring yourself into other people's opinions keeps you empty. Fill yourself first, not selfishly, not greedily, just honestly. Know what you value, know what you want, know what kind of person you're trying to become, and then act from that place, with kindness, with responsibility, but without apology. I want to share one more small story before we wrap up. There was an old sculptor. This is an old kind of fable, really. And someone asked him how he created such beautiful work. And he said something simple. I just remove everything that isn't the statue. That's what focusing on yourself actually is, not addition, subtraction. You're not trying to become something different. You're trying to remove everything that isn't actually you. The people-pleasing, the performance, the shape you've twisted yourself into to be more acceptable. Underneath all of that, there's something solid, something real, something that was always there, waiting. Your job isn't to build yourself from scratch. Your job is to clear away the noise until what's left is actually you. So let me bring it home. You started this video maybe feeling a little lost, maybe a little tired, tired of performing, tired of overthinking, tired of lying awake at night worrying about what someone thinks of you. And I want to say this as directly and honestly as I can. That exhaustion is information. It's telling you that the life you've been living, at least parts of it, isn't fully yours yet. And that's okay, because now you see it, and seeing it changes everything. The Stoics didn't believe in perfection. They didn't think you could become some emotionless robot who doesn't care about anything. That's not strength. That's just a different kind of emptiness. What they believed in was practice. Small, daily, quiet practice. Coming back to yourself. Coming back to your values. Asking what's actually in your control. Letting the rest go. Not once, but again and again, every single day. Some days you'll do it well. Some days you'll fail completely and spend 4 hours spiraling about something someone said at work. That's fine. That's human. The practice isn't about being perfect. It's about returning. The Stoics had a word for this, ascesis, training. Like an athlete trains their body, you train your mind, not to feel nothing, but to feel everything without being ruled by it. You are not what people think of you. You are not the opinions someone formed of you when you were having a bad day. You are not the version of yourself that failed at something once. You are not too much or too little or too late. You are someone who is still here, still trying, still capable of choosing right now, today, to live a little more deliberately, a little more honestly, a little more like yourself. And that's not nothing. That's actually everything. The world doesn't need more people performing well for each other. It needs more people who actually know who they are, who live that quietly, firmly, without needing applause. Be that person, not for me, not for some channel, for yourself. You've been waiting for someone to give you permission to stop shrinking. So here it is. Stop shrinking. Take up the space your life is asking you to take up. Do the thing. Say the true thing. Be the version of yourself that doesn't need the room's approval to walk into it. That version of you exists. It's not far away. It's just buried under a lot of other people's noise. Start digging. If something in this video hit home, if even one part of it made you stop and think, then it did its job. And if you want more of these conversations about stoicism, about mindset, about actually living instead of just performing, consider subscribing. There's no pressure. Just come back when you need it. Take care of yourself. Seriously. See you in the next one.